Prince Harry is once again at the center of a huge royal controversy, and this time the conversation is all about security during his visits to the United Kingdom. The debate has become even more intense because Harry has repeatedly said he does not feel comfortable bringing his wife and children to Britain without the level of protection he believes is necessary.
The nerve of this prince, firstly to assume that he's entitled to taxpayer-funded protection. At the same time, they've been offered an invite to stay at the royal residence out of the goodness of the king's heart, yet Harry is throwing the toys out of the cot again because he assumes the taxpayer will just pay for him, Christo, even though he's no longer a working royal.
His future visits already seem uncertain, and the latest developments have sparked a flood of reactions from royal commentators, newspaper columnists, and people across social media. Even though he could stay at a royal residence with existing security measures, the argument refuses to die down. Just wait until you hear how strongly some of his critics have reacted.
But do you know what irritates me about this story is the fact that what does he think will happen if he's in a royal residence? What does he think will happen if he's in a royal residence with the king? Does he think that the king's securities are going to leave all the doors and windows open or put a flag outside saying, come in? Of course he's going to be protected. He's going to be in a royal residence. He's going to be with His Majesty the King. I imagine there'll be a few protection officers around. I imagine, if he's lucky, they'll even send a car to the airport to pick him up. So what does he actually want? What more does he actually want?
The disagreement goes back to the decision that Harry would not automatically receive taxpayer-funded police protection after stepping away from his role as a working royal. That ruling has remained one of the biggest sticking points between Harry and the UK authorities. Harry has argued that his family's safety should be taken seriously and that the current arrangements are not enough for certain visits. However, many people see the issue very differently and believe the decision follows the same rules that apply to someone who no longer carries out official royal duties.
They want all the privileges of being senior royals without accepting the reality that they walked away from that role. They quit their job.
When Harry challenged the security decision, the reaction from critics was immediate. Some believed he should simply accept the outcome instead of continuing to fight it. Others argued that he appeared frustrated because things were no longer working the way they once did during his time as a senior member of the royal family. Supporters, on the other hand, say he is only trying to protect his family and should not be criticized for raising concerns about safety. As a result, the debate has become another issue that sharply divides public opinion.
If you don't want to be part of something, which is your right, the reason you're so unpopular, you couple of chumps, is that you then go away, sign any and every deal which goes against your desire for privacy to sell secrets about the very organisation you apparently want nothing to do. And then when you realise you're out in the cold and you need to start ingratiating yourself, you then want the same benefits, but you're not doing the hard jobs. That doesn't work in any walk of life, Kins, does it?
Many commentators have questioned Harry's position by pointing out that he is no longer a working royal. Their argument is straightforward. They believe publicly funded police protection is intended for senior royals carrying out official duties on behalf of the monarchy. Since Harry stepped away from those responsibilities several years ago, critics ask why he should still receive the same level of protection funded by taxpayers. That question continues to appear in interviews, opinion pieces, and television discussions whenever the topic comes up. Several royal commentators have been especially harsh in their assessments. Some described Harry's response as entitled, while others called it exaggerated or unrealistic.
Up till this point, Harry has shamelessly leveraged and weaponized access to Archie and Lily in order to get his armed royal protection. Well, Harry now, like a spoiled toddler, has thrown his toys out of the pram when discovering that you are not going to get your armed bodyguard.
Online discussions became just as heated, with thousands of people debating whether his concerns were reasonable or whether he was expecting treatment that no longer matched his current position. The strong language used by some critics only made the story spread even faster. For many royal watchers, this security dispute is about much more than police protection. They believe it reflects the larger relationship between Harry, the royal family, and the British public. Some argue that Harry still expects to be treated much like he was before stepping away from royal life. Others believe he simply wants practical security for himself and his family without unnecessary risk. Those two very different viewpoints have kept the controversy alive for years. Some critics even claim Harry still believes the public sees him exactly as they did before he and Meghan Markle left royal duties. They argue that the circumstances have changed dramatically since then and that expectations have also changed. Whether that criticism is fair or not depends on who is asked, but there is no doubt that opinions remain deeply divided every time Harry returns to the headlines.
They last had a private meeting, which was at Prince Philip's funeral. It ended up as the forward in Spare, the book. When the Queen, the late Queen Elizabeth, died, we literally got details of how he went into her bedroom and sat with her. Things that I don't think that the late Queen would have wanted in the public domain. So there's always that risk when he sees his family that it's going to end up being monetized somehow. And I just think that that's incredibly vulgar.
Harry reportedly hoped that visiting Britain after spending years in Montecito would be easier than it has been. Instead, every discussion about returning to the UK seems to bring the security issue right back into the spotlight. Rather than focusing on family visits or public appearances, the conversation often becomes centered on protection, legal decisions, and disagreements over who should pay for security arrangements. When his request to restore certain security measures was unsuccessful, many commentators saw it as another major setback. According to those critics, Harry expected greater recognition despite no longer serving as a working royal. They argued that the rules had already been explained and that continuing the dispute would only create more public frustration. Others, however, believe Harry had every right to challenge a decision that directly affects his family's safety.
Guess what? The British taxpayer doesn't fancy paying for their security. Apparently, the spoiled brat, the Duke of Sussex, may well throw his toys out of the pram once again. After announcing his visit to the UK, the Prince later learned that his family will not receive police protection.
Harry, I don't think understands that. I think Harry thinks his dad can go around telling the government to do this, that and the other. And I actually think so stupid that he thought, well, if I tell Dad I'm bringing this back, and then I turn around to him and say, hey, Dad, I've just found out you're not going to give me any gun guards, therefore you're not going to see your grandchildren unless you do something about it.
Interestingly, many people say the actual security decision is no longer the biggest story. Instead, they argue that the public reaction has become even larger than the original issue itself. Television panels, newspaper articles, podcasts, and social media discussions have all focused on Harry's response. Every new comment seems to generate another round of headlines, keeping the controversy alive for weeks at a time. Some of Harry's toughest critics compared his reaction to someone refusing to accept an answer they did not like. Others suggested that he was making the situation appear bigger than it needed to be. At the same time, supporters pushed back by arguing that concerns about security should never be dismissed simply because someone is no longer a working royal. That disagreement has created two completely different narratives surrounding the same issue. Another question continues to come up again and again. If King Charles has reportedly made royal accommodation available during Harry's visits, why isn't that enough? Critics point out that royal residences already have extensive security measures in place. They argue those properties are among the safest locations in the country, making additional publicly funded protection unnecessary while Harry is staying there. That has led many commentators to ask what extra level of protection Harry believes is required beyond the existing arrangements.
He will always be the son of the king, and he did serve in the armed forces. So he'll always be a target for that reason. However, then when he wrote his book, giving away secrets of when he was in the armed forces, thereby making himself more of a target, you just think, well, how stupid do you need to be? And now, coming here, he is coming, he's not coming, he's going to come and he doesn't think he's going to get protection. Of course he'll be protected. It's moronic to think otherwise.
Some argue that his expectations remain too high considering his current role. Others believe the situation is more complicated because travel outside royal estates may present different security challenges. The debate continues because both sides believe they have valid points. Another criticism often raised focuses on Harry's decision to include details about his military service in his memoir. One royal commentator argued that publicly discussing sensitive experiences from Afghanistan may have increased attention toward him, making future security discussions even more complicated. That criticism has been repeated by several commentators who believe those disclosures attracted additional public attention. Supporters of Harry strongly disagree with that argument. They say it is unfair to suggest one decision alone determines the security risks he may face today. They also argue that security assessments should be based on current information from professionals rather than public opinion. Even so, critics continue pointing to the memoir whenever the discussion turns toward protection and personal safety. As the arguments continue, one thing is clear: every new development quickly becomes another major headline. Whether people support Harry's position or agree with his critics, the debate over security has become one of the most talked about royal stories in recent years.
Just feels like they're trying to blackmail the royal family into doing, if you don't, we'll go off in another hissy fit. And this is where it makes me pull my hair out, because I just don't understand it. Because either you're coming here, just get on the plane, get here, and try and repair the damage. Yes, you're doing Invictus, Harry. That's important to you. Get on the plane, go and do that.
Every interview, legal update, or public appearance seems to reopen the same discussion, ensuring that this controversy remains firmly in the spotlight with no sign of disappearing anytime soon. Whatever trust once existed between Prince Harry and the royal family appears to have faded over the years, and many royal commentators believe rebuilding that relationship will not be easy. One of the biggest reasons often mentioned is that private conversations have repeatedly become public through interviews, documentaries, and Harry's memoir. Whether intentional or not, those moments have left many people questioning how comfortable family members would feel speaking openly with him behind closed doors. For many observers, that is where the real problem begins. Families usually depend on trust, especially when discussing personal matters. Critics argue that once private conversations become public, it naturally makes future conversations much more difficult. They believe every meeting now comes with the possibility that details could eventually appear in another interview, television special, or published book. That perception alone, they say, creates a huge barrier between Harry and the rest of the family.
This isn't about safety. This is not about protection. This is about Harry's ego. He wants to arrive in the UK and be the main man. He wants to be the head of a rival court. He wants the cop cars. He wants the blue sirens. He wants the police outriders, the whistles, the helicopters, the SWAT team. He wants it all.
Royal experts have frequently suggested that this loss of trust may now be one of the biggest obstacles standing in the way of any full reconciliation. Even if both sides wanted to repair the relationship, critics argue that rebuilding confidence after years of public disagreements would take a very long time. Every new controversy only seems to make that challenge even harder. Now, Harry is expected to travel to the UK without Meghan or their children, and that decision has sparked another wave of speculation. Harry has previously said that he does not believe it is safe to bring his family to Britain without the security arrangements he has requested. As a result, many commentators see his solo visits as another reminder that the security dispute remains unresolved. Some reports have claimed that King Charles would like to spend more time with his grandchildren. Because of that, several commentators have suggested Harry may believe the ongoing security issue gives him leverage during discussions with the royal family. That idea has become a popular topic in the media, although it remains a matter of opinion rather than confirmed fact. Others have also pointed to the Invictus Games, an event Harry founded and continues to support passionately. Some commentators argue that Harry sees his personal involvement as extremely important to the success of the event. Whether that belief is accurate or not, the discussion has fueled even more debate about his relationship with the monarchy and the public image surrounding future royal visits. Critics claim Harry's recent approach looks less emotional and more strategic than before. Instead of simply expressing disappointment, they argue he is now applying public pressure in hopes that the situation will eventually change. Supporters disagree with that interpretation and maintain that his concerns have always been about protecting his family. Once again, the same story produces two very different opinions depending on who is watching. That has also led many people to ask another important question. Is this entire dispute really only about security, or could there be other factors involved? Some royal commentators believe the issue goes beyond police protection and touches on Harry's continuing relationship with the institution he left behind. According to those critics, remaining connected to the royal family still carries enormous value. Even though Harry is no longer a working royal, appearing alongside the monarchy or maintaining close ties keeps him connected to one of the world's most recognized institutions. They argue that those connections continue to generate worldwide attention whenever Harry returns to Britain. Some commentators have also suggested that staying connected to the royal family helps keep both Harry and Meghan in the headlines. They argue that constant public interest can also benefit future projects, media appearances, and business ventures. Others disagree with that view, saying there is no clear evidence that the current security dispute is linked to commercial interests. Even so, the theory continues to appear in royal discussions and opinion columns. Because Meghan has not traveled to the UK in recent years, some commentators believe fewer public appearances together may reduce opportunities for media attention. Others say that conclusion is purely speculative. Regardless, the conversation has become part of the wider debate surrounding Harry's ongoing disagreements with the royal family and whether the security dispute is about more than one issue. As the criticism continues to grow, public opinion remains deeply divided. Some people continue to support Harry and believe his concerns deserve serious consideration. Others feel he has created many of these problems himself through years of public criticism directed at his own family. The result is another controversy that keeps dominating headlines whenever his name appears in the news. Some commentators have even argued that public sympathy has gradually declined over time. They believe that people who once strongly defended Harry are becoming tired of the constant disagreements and repeated royal drama. Whether that perception reflects the wider public or not, it has become a common theme in many discussions about his future relationship with the monarchy. For many critics, this is no longer just another disagreement over security arrangements. They see it as part of a much bigger pattern involving expectations, public statements, and ongoing tensions between Harry and the royal family. Supporters, however, continue to argue that protecting one's family should never be dismissed lightly. The debate clearly isn't ending anytime soon. Now we want to hear what you think. Do you believe Harry is using the situation involving his children to increase pressure on King Charles, or do you think his security concerns are completely genuine? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and join the conversation. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends so you never miss the latest royal updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.